What the flick, everybody? Welcome to the show. We're talking about Fargo, and this is the final episode, episode 10 last night, Morton's Fork.
Yes.
And you told me I'm going to get it?
No, it's. I look it up.
Oh, okay, it's
another conundrum.
Yeah. Okay.
So you said, why is it named that? I said, you know why. I meant because it's Fargo. That's why.
So I think a very satisfying ending. Almost too, like, all the good people are happy at the end. Like, you know,
Not all of them.
Who wasn't?
Key and Peele.
They're not so happy.
We didn't know.
They've woken up from their dream.
We don't know. I think they're fine.
You can take a couple bullets to the dome.
They'll take the one who got shot in the neck. He'll just pad some snow as he's lying back there. And stuff.
They're feds.
Yeah, no, but they were funny, but they're just cops. Like we don't know their families.
But they were trying to do the right thing.
No,
they're sympathetic, kind of.
Yeah,
and you do when you see him get shot in the neck. Your immediate thought is, if they wanted to kill him, they'd just kill him. He'll be fine. And then you steadily see more blood coming out, and you're like, oh no,
maybe not.
No, they gave him a nice death scene. He did that well. That was good. Those guys were good. They were really good.
Yeah.
So there's not certainly a minor point. What do you think he did with the kid with the daughter?
I wasn't sure if he killed him or not, but it just seemed like that line made him a parallel to Colin Hanks. To Gus early on in his first encounter with Malvo.
Yeah, that's
where
right.
Malvo basically says, like, it's more important that you take care of your family than you deal with me.
Right. So I mean, he could have. I don't know. He could have tied him up in the.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he killed him.
He's pretty sure he killed him, but everybody knows who did this and who they're looking for, and he knows they're looking for him, and it's not like killing that guy's not gonna. When they get to the FBI agents, who they know are going to get found pretty quick. It doesn't really matter.
There's a little bit of evidence leading to behind the wood.
It's not a
pile. I think he's definitely in the mode at that point where he just wants revenge and he's willing to kill anybody, I guess, to get it. But they didn't show it.
Right, and
it's Malvo.
Right,
so I think there's a good chance he's alive.
There's a good chance he's alive.
He didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, we don't. He drove off in the car. We don't. Yeah, we didn't see it. It was interesting. We didn't, and of course, Martin Freeman's there. Lester's at the location. So,
have we seen him just kill an innocent bystander for no reason before?
No, he killed secretaries.
Well,
he killed
the three people in the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
But they were dentists.
Oh, well, fuck them then. No, and actually that whole setup with the guy in the car reminded me of the setup with Bronzer in the house.
Yeah, Turkish Delight boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he likes to...
likes to tie people up.
Yeah, and of course Key and Peele, there were some innocents, killed.
That's true.
They're cops, but they're not in a war. I mean, only in his warped logic would you think that was okay.
I don't want to critique that though, because as soon as I saw both the grandfather outside of Alison Tolman's house,
which is another callback to Night of the Hunter, by the way, I called that last week. Where Lillian Gish sits up all night with the gun on the patio, on the porch, waiting for Robert Mitchum to show up. I'm telling you, there's a Night of the Hunter thing going on here.
So you had him sitting out there, and then you had the FBI with their car parked in front of Lester's house. Here's the thing. They're in the middle of the woods. He doesn't have to walk up the driveway to get into Lester's house. Why go to all the trouble of killing the FBI when you could just as easily circle around, sneak in the back, and cap Lester whenever you want?
I think he was killing the FBI because I think that what Malvo is about more than anything else is loose ends. That's why he kills the people in the elevator. That's why he does a lot of stuff just to cover his tracks and not leave anybody behind. That's what, ambulance or hearse is about. And so I think that, he canceled the backup. And so if he could all he had to do was take out those two FBI agents and bam, no more FBI.
Yeah, and also it's better to, he doesn't know how it's going to go if he breaks into the house and Lester screams or whatever, and then he's got two FBI agents flanking him on either side. Then they're going to call for
the actual backup,
actual police, at least at that point,
Yeah, and then the FBI would be like, "Make up your minds, assholes." Hang up.
That was such a good scene.
The calling in.
Get your shit together.
Exactly. Yeah, well, because as soon as he took the book out of at that point I didn't know if it was the FBI car or a police car. He instantly began to think, what was the gain in that? And I thought there must be some kind of code. And so it was interesting to see how far ahead he thought.
You mentioned
smart guy.
We mentioned Night of the Hunter, and it's caused me. It's because I do this thing all the time where I then think the Coen brothers would have to be fans of Charles Lawton.
Oh yeah.
Right, but they didn't do this. Right.
No.
I keep remembering that the Coen brothers are involved in this show. So, but that said, I'm sure they are. So Lester then just ran, right?
You mean after the confrontation?
Like he saw that he'd beaten. Very satisfying for him. He'd beaten Malvo, and then I guess he just packed up and
went to Montana.
And drove
off to Montana and was headed to the border.
Yeah, and they somehow tracked him down. So again, more good police work from them.
By then, two FBI agents have been
there's an ACP for sure.
And the full force.
And actually, Morton's fork, which is, I'm not going to explain this right, but it basically boils down to two contradictory sets of facts leading to the same unhappy conclusion. And so I think the idea being that by the end there, he either stops and turns around and allows himself to get arrested, or he keeps going out on the ice and dies. Like either choice is a bad one.
Right, okay, so Lester had a Morton's fork moment.
Yes.
I was hoping somehow, I mean, look, like early on in the episode, the person I was watching with, we were sort of debating who's going to die, and I sort of, at that point, after seeing the dead wife's body 100 times, I was like, if Lester dies, I'll be okay with that. But I kind of thought when we were seeing him run out, and you have that flashback to earlier in the episode, they showed the hole in the ice. Maybe he set the hole up, and he's just going to dive under the snow on the ice. But no, that didn't happen, unfortunately.
He got pretty diabolical, but not that diabolical.
But what's interesting is that he blew, convicting Lester until they found the tape. Convicting Lester would have been almost impossible. Like, the fact of the matter is, his best call always would have been, I got involved with this guy. I didn't ask him to kill Sam S. He did it. Then he came and hit my wife with a hammer.
No, because he's already pinned the brother on that one. He can't.
Right.
If it was earlier on?
Right. It was a mistake earlier. He could even say I'd set up, at this point, even then, he could have said, I set up my brother because I knew you guys were coming after me.
He's still probably going to go to jail.
Yeah, I got it. But before setting up the brother, blaming it all on Malvo and getting protection from Malvo was the way to go.
Yeah.
And Lord knows Bill wasn't gonna fucking lead that.
Now, what was going on
Doesn't have the stomach for it.
I love Bill's big last speech, by the way. I love the idea that he goes where he finally just acknowledges, I'm clearly not cut out for this. I operate under this one sort of set of rules and thoughts about the world, and that is wrong, and that is out of date, and I should not be doing this.
So interesting. It's a show about a transition then, because two characters on the show reach that same conclusion. Two important characters, Bill and Colin Hanks. Gus, they're both like, we should have been cops in Andy Mayberry's day. Andy Mayberry. Andy Griffith's day. We would have been cops in Mayberry. Like, that's who they are. Like, that this world where there are people like Malvo, right? And syndicates like Fargo.
Right.
They're not. This is not for them. And to some extent, it wasn't really for Key and Peele either. I mean, they got behind it. Right, but it is for Molly. Like, Molly's good.
But here's the thing. Like, back in those days that they're pining for, there were serial killers back then too. There was organized crime back then too.
And the thing they look back so fondly on, as Molly said, she's like, people still shovel each other's walks. Like, it's not.
Yeah, we're not completely despicable.
I think Gus is shoveling all sorts of stuff.
And if anything, I'm pretty sure the cops probably got away with much more, worse stuff then.
Right,
so that's part of that whole innocent era. What was Lester doing with the wife's body? I wasn't clear. Like, was he trying to get a key or leave a key? Like, he put something on the key.
He put the car key. Because remember, he had been left in the car with the engine running.
Fine. But then what's he doing later when he says, "Can I have a second?"
He wants to get the plane tickets out of her pocket.
Then he wants to get the plane tickets out because that's
before they find them. Because they found 2 plane tickets. That said in the dialogue. So that thing from last week was not true.
Even though if you look at the screen, it says 1. But anyway.
Well, maybe there are 2 individual.
Right. So he thought that'll clearly tell them that I was about to flee. Again, like, you just...
Well, that's not the worst.
I mean, if anybody out there is looking to commit a horrible crime, like, make the cops put it together. Be like, I know you said don't leave town because you want to ask those questions. My wife and I were planning a vacation to Acapulco.
Right.
We'll be back in a few days.
We'll be back in a week, and you can reach us in frickin' Acapulco. Like, it's not a crime.
They have phones.
Right, exactly. We'll be fine. Like, it's not a... And it's evidenced by how tough it was for Molly to convince everyone. It was a really tough prove on Lester. A really tough prove on Lester.
It was interesting, though. So early on, I think he doesn't pin it on Malvo because he doesn't feel like he can be protected from Malvo, and he doesn't know enough about this world yet to feel like he'll be safe. But then he goes to Las Vegas, and the thing happens in the elevator. And him protecting Malvo and refusing to say that anything happened when they clearly have some sort of footage or something to prove that something happened, I think he wants his thing with Malvo to be a personal connection between them. And that's why he doesn't tell anyone about it. It's too important to him.
I think he's still terrified. I think seeing Malvo gun down 3 people in cold blood like that without flinching makes him realize, oh shit.
But I think he wants to fight him. Like, sending in the wife when he knows Malvo's gonna kill her. Like, he knows it. It was totally unnecessary. It didn't have to happen. He chose to advance it there.
Yeah, I agree more with John. I think that definitely, Malvo terrifies him. There's no question about that. But he made his psychotic break was that his most important relationship was with this killer, and then a guy who he kind of thought he was simpatico with, being the, hey, look at me now, buddy.
Right, yeah.
Why aren't we getting a beer? And then, beating him, that was the most satisfied he'd ever been. He faked a phone call to the police to lure him in.
No, that was clever.
Yeah.
The bear trap and the fake phone call, definitely. Yeah. I don't know. I think that for that moment in Vegas, yes, he was trying to be like, hey, we're buddies and da-da-da. And then the elevator thing, I think, turned him back to, oh shit, that's when the terror came back. But you're right, he does sort of outsmart him, oddly enough.
I did predict, by the way, that bear trap was going to be crucial for the plot of the show.
You did. That was good. That was
and it's also, then it's another callback to the story that Malvo tells to Mr. Wrench about the bear who chews off his own foot.
That's a good point. Man, that thing really messed up his leg. But I did like that a couple of episodes ago, Lester takes the award and gets a hit in on Malvo. Malvo's hit back with it was much better.
Yes.
He destroyed his face.
Yeah, that was the award?
That was the award. He threw it at him right in square the face.
We are leaving out the big thing of Gus taking out Malvo. Right, was that dramatically satisfying?
Well, what I love is that they can leave sort of a mystery until the very end. It takes 10 episodes for you to find out that Gus, that's Tom Hanks' son. I never knew.
You didn't know?
What is he doing in Minnesota? I thought Gus was a goner. I thought he was going to go into that house and we were never going to see him again.
Yeah, so did I. I think ultimately it was satisfying, and I like that this guy, this meek man who couldn't be a cop, but clearly was a good father and a good husband and a great guy, but his one moment where he shot anybody, he shot the love of his life, right? And he knew instinctively, I do this now, or there is a great chance that this guy kills more later, whether it's when
Probably
other cops get here. Whether it's going to be just policemen doing their job, that he's going to die of suicide by cop, or he's just going to get away again like he always does.
Yeah, and he slipped through his fingers twice now.
Yeah, and he is.
So it made, I think it made sense for the show to make it.
And it was I'm not letting him get away because he may come after my family, and I can end this right now.
And she did leave after saying she wouldn't. And so if he hadn't done that, perhaps they would have met up.
And he knows her. He's like, I may keep her there. She's
going to go.
Yeah, she's going to go, and I'm going to finish this now.
Well, so I feel a little bit better about the finale now than I did right afterward. I didn't find it to be super satisfying at the time. The more I think about it, the more I feel like they did give us what we wanted, which is, for the first 2/3 of that episode, they did build up the suspense with them talking about how the cops, they can't hit a can on a fence, and then you see that she's alone with just one other cop there. They do really build up the suspense, and they make you think that anyone can die. Gus goes into the house without even calling.
Right, maybe.
And so I guess that's what we wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe lock the door. Maybe lock the door.
And I like the wolf image of, whether you look at it as being sort of, like Malvo's sort of spirit animal taking him away, whether it's he's there to give the clue to Colin Hanks to make him look and see the
to make him think about predators.
Yeah, all that stuff, exactly, that he's stalking,
And and Malvo's recklessness throughout. Ultimately he had to go. You can't, even with incompetent police officers, or with just a few competent ones, you can't drive a red BMW into Bemidji when they're already looking for you from last year, and then, he goes into the police station, Jimmy's whatever. But so it was satisfying, I thought, and I liked his comeback after the 3 shots that he was still there.
Yeah, that was a weird death scene.
It was good. I liked it. It was ugly, and
You don't see people shot in the face, by the way, very often on TV.
Yeah. A lot of Billy Bob Thornton, you said, was doing an interview with you guys at the Wrap, sort of an Emmy push. I'm sure he'll be obviously considered, whether he gets a lot of good performances on television, but she's the linchpin to that show, and I think that's who I want to see nominated more than anybody for the show.
Yeah, if she had been a far weaker character, then Malvo's intelligence and brutality wouldn't matter as much by comparison.
Yeah, I mean, she was the very super strong antidote to Billy Bob Thornton's evil.
Yeah, because she's the heart and the brains of the show in a lot of ways.
Yeah, totally, and she's going to work a ton, I suspect, in the coming years. All right, guys, this was fun. Fargo, we no idea. They had talked about maybe coming back with another season set in the same place, but totally different characters. Obviously, if they do, we'll be interested. Otherwise, tell your friends.
It was a good
Fargo.
run.
Good run. Thanks.